Thinking about buying a fursuit? There's one way you can get one right now for half the cost. The used fursuit market is like the Wild West. Secondhand suits, lower prices, and a whole lot to watch out for. Hi, I'm Waffles, I build fursuits, and I put together this guide to help save you money and avoid getting scammed. The main place for secondhand auctions is a site called the Dealer's Den. It's the biggest marketplace for fursuit resales and commissions. Think of it like an old school Etsy before all the bots and dropshippers took over. Most of the sellers are independent artists who handmake everything. There are a lot of fursuit horror stories out there, but if you know what to look for, you can find an amazing fursuit for a steal and protect yourself. So today, the whole plan is that we're gonna go to the Dealer's Den, which is the largest furry kind of like fursuit selling auction site, and just look around and see what we can see. There are a lot of great deals, there are a lot of crazy deals, and there's a whole lot of fursuits. So let's just see what we can run ourselves into. Like Dinosaur Fursuit Plus character. Head and Hands by the Beast Cub. Bodysuit by Nordstorm Kaiju. Includes body, head, ears, feet, tail, 2 pairs of hand paws, and is free delivery if you live in Oregon. This person is selling their absolute monster of a fursuit, and man, $8,000 is a steep price. It looks like a absolute crazy fursuit there, holy crap. You can see that it's a digigrade bodysuit, so that means the legs are padded. It has a full sculpt on the head, custom hand paws, custom bodysuit. It's a one-of-a-kind costume. The Beast Cub, if you don't know, is one of the most famous fursuit makers. Like if we go ahead and look at some of their stuff, they've made some pretty legendary ones, like this famous Arcanine, a lot of these crazy costumes. They're one of the most famous fursuit makers out there. In fact, they kind of even transcend the furry fandom. They're kind of in their own little world. This fursuit is absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. I can see why they're asking $8 grand. Almost certainly they paid more than that for all of this. Probably a lot more if I'm being totally honest. Like if you want a fursuit like this, it's a very expensive endeavor. And they have arguably one of the most famous fursuit makers behind it. Let's read the description. I'm going to be selling my fursuit pup. Fursuit includes 2 pairs of paws, feet, tails, eyes, body. It was built on a DTD for 5 foot 2 inches and about 200 pounds, but it can easily fit something smaller or bigger. The suit has always been very well maintained, cleaned thoroughly throughout each convention, etc. Good to know. It's built off the top of a baseball cap, which is kind of cool. Fursuits like this are always one of the hardest to sell, because if you wanted to commission a fursuit like this from a maker of this caliber, it would be probably double this. Especially if you want all the art and all the extras and all the accessories, it would be like 15 grand. Like a fursuit like this is incredibly expensive to commission. It's not something you can easily do. Like to even get a slot from the Beast Cub is difficult in itself, especially at the body size. Anytime you have the less conventional body sizes of like either really short people or really tall people, you limit a lot of your buyers. So think about it this way. You gotta find the person out there who loves this dino character so much that they're willing to ball out and spend 8 grand on it. And they are 5 foot 2 and 200 pounds. Like, there are not a lot of people in the world that could fit that category, and to find someone that has all the money ready to go to buy the character and loves the character and wants this costume, it's a very tall ask. This is a steal of a price for what you get. It's just a hard sell. So next up, we have a Kaiju padded full suit with floor drag hotel, LEDs, smoke, and moving eyes. These are some insane listings. I'm excited to read more. Adafruit eyes, which this just means that they're like digital displays, like little computer vision. Smoke machine, LEDs, fleece, foam, and it fits a 6-foot woman that's 220 pounds. So a pretty big frame person. They have some photos of the fursuit. Whenever I see these kind of like really complicated, like art piece fursuits, I guess you call them, like fursuits have a lot going on, you really want to see contemporary photos taken before the auction. Seeing old like party convention photos aren't really helpful because you don't know how the fursuit looks today. Like, for all you know, the eyes might not work and the smoke machine might be broken, but without seeing that in the ad, you don't know that, you know what I mean? Here is what the listing says. It says, asking $3K, but entertaining any serious officer, selling their Kaiju. They've never had a chance to wear it. Wait, I've never had a chance to wear it. Worn twice in 2019 and has been washed. I don't understand that statement, but fair enough. Ready for wearing, but the interior could use more lining. They made it for themselves, but they skimped on the professional finishing work, which is probably a pretty big red flag, but we'll keep on. May need some maintenance as I haven't taken it out of the closet in 4 years. Not a good sign. The smoke machine will definitely need a refill. I'll give you a recipe. The eyes are Adafruit and programmable with an old school Raspberry Pi. LEDs have switches and are glued firmly in place. I worry though, when you have a costume this kind of complex sitting in a closet for such a long time, not getting any wear, not getting any use, there's probably a reason for that. It looks quite difficult to wear, and if it requires so many moving kind of fiddly parts, I don't think most people really want to deal with that. Usually they just want to slap on a fursuit and go kind of hang out and party. The other thing I'd worry too is that the Adafruit eyes, the digital eyes, you need to be someone that knows how those work, because if they are broken, good luck trying to figure that out, right? Learning all that programming stuff is already challenging enough when you have it sitting out on a counter by itself, but when you have it like glued into a fursuit, like it's basically impossible to maintain or fix at that point. So that would be a pretty big red flag in my eyes as far as owning a fursuit like this. Next up, we have Alivard, the reindeer full suit for 4,000 CHF, Swiss francs maybe? Yeah, Swiss franc. Hell yeah, I knew that shit. This is feeling like a pretty cool fursuit. It's a big reindeer. These are always pretty fun. It comes with the massive horns, and it looks like in the next photo, it comes with a whole set of them. So you could do, you know, small ones or big ones or large ones or kind of something in the between. And I think these are just magnetically attached, which is quite a clever way to do it. And yeah, you can even see it here. So I just did the conversion. This is about 5,000 USD. So it's pretty pricey. It says it comes with a moving jaw, foam head base, 2 sets of hand hooves, fursuit sandals, 1 extra tail for partialing, several sets of interchangeable antlers, exchangeable eye mesh, eyeliner, and they're painted by the Western Custom Creations. You're getting a lot here, and compared to a lot of the other fursuits we've seen, getting a big kind of caribou character, or a reindeer I suppose, is a lot easier of a call than like a demon rabbit or like a wicker beast or any of the other kind of custom stuff. Getting a reindeer fursuit is something that is more palatable to a larger audience. It has, though, the classic trifecta of fursuit problems of a pretty expensive price of 5 grand, a pretty restrictive size of 5'2", which I think this means feet or maybe meters, I'm not 100% sure. And then you gotta find someone that likes the character. Now, this fits on the character. I feel like a lot of people could really get into this reindeer, but is the price worth it? And then do you fit in the measurements? Those are the big questions, you know? I will say though, compared to a lot of the fursuits we've seen so far, I would be more willing to spend my money on this fursuit as opposed to some of the more other ones, you know? I don't think the price is necessarily high or super expensive, but it is just something that a fursuit like this just costs that much money. That's just kind of what a fursuit costs. All right, let's take a look at this one. MQ Fixer Upper Full Suit. Fits someone who's 5'3" to 5'7" best. So a pretty decent range. A lot of people fit within that, inside that range. And for only 900 bucks, it's not that bad. Because you figure 950 plus the $50 shipping, which is, they're honestly probably gonna take a loss in that shipping, because shipping this fursuit, because it's quite large, is gonna cost more than 50 bucks. So hey, you come out ahead there. Let's see, let's look at the photos. A red flag that I always consider is when people don't take current photos of their fursuit they're trying to sell. If you buy a car, you don't want photos of like when it was purchased or like from like a year ago when you took it on a trip. If you're trying to buy that car, you want to see photos of it today, like right now. So they didn't make the bodysuit, but instead they made the hand paws, tails, and head were made by this artist here. And then they say they're definitely not up to my normal quality at all, which is a very weird way to say that you're saying that they're bad, which is probably not something you want to put in your ad, but I digress. I currently only have the bodysuit in my possession. My partner has the head, so the shipping will be slow, which is they even put a little red exclamation point here to warn you about the massive red flag that is. And then they go on to say, to avoid any scams, they can do a down payment, and then after you get everything, you can get the whole fursuit. So like, you'll probably get it, but like, do you want to do all this hassle for a fixie-uppy fursuit? They even mention in it that it has very poor vision, which is, for a lot of people, a total deal breaker. I mean, they're doing the right thing. They're putting like an absurdly low price on it and just hoping someone buys it. But the fact that it's not all in one place means it's a total like run away from this as fast as you can. The fact that they don't have the full suit in their possession and put a big warning on it means that this is probably a huge pain in the butt to deal with. I don't know. You tell me. This feels like to me a total avoid, but I'm sure there's someone out there that would be willing to take the risk. So the next fursuit that we're looking at is this Zerohora Pokemon full suit, which actually looks pretty darn sick from the photos. It's in like this weird conference room though. I'm not sure what is going on with this room. You have like this mega ship in the background with these like crazy lounge chairs. What is this? I don't know what this is. We'll keep looking. So it appears to be like a bodysuit with a bunch of like, I want to say costume pieces attached to it. And yeah, you can get a pretty good idea of how it's built here. So it has the kind of black gray bodysuit, and then everything is kind of attached to that. So it's a pretty sick setup. So I will say this as a potential red flag. Anytime you have a fursuit listing and there isn't a fursuit maker listed, I would be very wary of what you're getting. On this fursuit here, the price is a lot lower than you'd normally expect. There doesn't appear to be any like tags or maker marks or any sort of custom work, and it all looks machined. I suspect this Zerohora fursuit is probably like assembly line somewhere. I'm not 100% sure. I wish there was more information, but there just isn't any in the listing. That being said though, it is a pretty decent deal. It doesn't look like it's necessarily a bad quality thing. It more so looks like a cosplay costume as opposed to a traditional full suit. If you know that going into it, and you can tell just by looking at these like quality parts, like that you are okay with this, or like the foam line kind of machine cut stuff, then yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. Though I would be interested to know where this was made. That's my biggest concern, is that you don't know where this is made. And for all you know, that there's a company out there that just produces nothing but Zerohora full suits, and that, you know, you'd be one of a dozen, which I mean you might be okay with, I don't know. So next up we have Curse the Cheshire Cat. It is by Honey Hounds. It is a full planté grade fursuit. It comes with a VR Chat VC face rigged model, 2 custom plushies, a leftover enamel pin, and a lot of physical and digital art. And it is a winged cat that looks very snazzy. The badges are nice, but I feel like most people that buy a used fursuit almost never use the old badges, because people usually associate the old badges with the old wearer. Or what happens a lot of times, they'll change the name or stuff like that. They want to make it their own. You know what I mean? They don't want to have just like someone else's fursuit. They want to have their own fursuit that they kind of take over. I will say, even though it is a pretty nice fursuit, $8,000 is very steep. For $8,000, you could almost certainly commission a fursuit of a similar quality to fit your exact body and have leftover money to buy like your own badges and your own art and your own plushie. So whenever you see people that kind of price all that in, that's just something to be aware of. Fursuit is in great condition for an older fursuit, but has some minor imperfections. Feet paws are indoor and have been worn outside. They have been thoroughly washed after every use, just don't look as good as they used to. Hand paws are also pretty worn out for general use. Bottom of tail has slight darkening due to dragging on the ground. Head is lined on the inside. Bodysuit is not lined, and there is minor fraying on the inside of the neck around the bodysuit where the neck floofs blocks. I feel like this fursuit has like the ultimate trifecta of issues, where you have a pretty used fursuit in the sense that like physically it's been used. As they mentioned, it has damaged hand paws and damaged feet paws, and the tail needs work. It's quite pricey at $8,000. Like that's one of the most expensive fursuits we've seen. And the percentage of people who fit within this fursuit are very small. Like you need to find someone who is 5'3", which is very short, and has $8,000 and loves this character. And it's a used fursuit. Like we can look at the photos here. These don't look bad by any means. Like these look like pretty decent feet paws. But unfortunately, once you walk off ground with it the first time, you can never really undo that. You know what I mean? Once you take the label off your shoes and put them on, they're now used shoes that you can never sell as new. And I suspect someone could get a much better deal if they were willing to kind of shop around. So I'm so glad you guys were able to put up with me as I ramble on about random fursuits. But at the end of the day, I really just hope you guys find the fursuit that works the best for you at the price that's the most affordable. I know how expensive things are nowadays, especially with tariffs and the economy and all sorts of stuff. So if you're gonna buy a fursuit, hopefully you get the best deal that you can. And if you can get a used fursuit for half the price and you like the character and it fits you, I hope you get that good deal and hope you enjoy that fursuit, because it's great giving a second life to these costumes. And if you're the owner where you can get a good deal on that fursuit, that's more power to you. So with all that being said, I thank you guys again so much, and I can't wait to see y'all again soon.